80% of the chokehold in your business or your life is your personal psychology. Right? I can't do it. Guess what? You probably can't.
Well, good morning, Brent. How are you today?
I'm doing great, Jill. How are you?
Good. I'm so excited that you're here on Beyond Boundaries with us. I'm so looking forward to this conversation. So for the audience who may not know who you are, you want to give a little bit of background on what you do with, eXp Realty and who you are as a person and a dad and a husband?
Absolutely. So, man, I'm going to go really fast. I'll give you 60 seconds worth. I was born in 1966 in San Diego, California, where you're from. Grew up in Chula Vista on the ocean on the Silver Strand and Coronado Island. In 76, I moved to Sacramento, Northern California. I was 10. And then in 86, I went off to college in another 100 miles north in Chico State. And then in 96, every 10 years, I moved back. I was 40 and or 30 then. Yeah, 30. And I moved back to Sacramento. I've been there ever since. So I finally stuck around. Been there almost 30 years now back in Sacramento. I'll be 60 here in a few years. But it's been amazing. I did sales right out of college. I didn't finish college. I was a dishwasher and a breakfast cook and a busboy, and was not a waiter. I didn't think I was smart enough to be the waiter. I had tutors for math and English. I got terrible grades. I never cut class. I studied like a wild man. I would get 2.3, 2.6. I wasn't the sharpest knife in the drawer, but I knew that I loved people and I knew that I had a work ethic. My dad, my grandfather raised me to work really hard. I know my dad said, I went to work for this little dive gas station, and he's like, man, we're a Christian family. He's like, do your work as unto the Lord. And he said, if God owned this gas station, would you just leave trash all over the lot and would the bathroom be filthy? Those really non-branded gas stations that you go in the bathroom, you're like, ugh. And I'm like, oh, wow. Yeah. And he goes, treat your job like that. I washed the windows inside and out. I got rid of all the cobwebs. I scrubbed the toilets. I scrubbed the bathroom. I picked up all the trash on the lot. I pulled weeds. The owner came the next week. He's like, who is this? And I got promoted to general manager in 1 week because I did more than I was asked to do. I came early. I stayed late. I worked hard. And then I've applied that to my life. I got into sales. I applied that go the extra mile attitude that my dad taught me and my grandfather taught me, who started an insurance company in the Great Depression, 1935, and it became very successful. So, but I bootstrapped it, got into real estate at 30 and struggled. I sold 3 homes my first 6 months. You're not getting any awards or accolades for that. They're like, is this guy going to make it? And then the next 12 months, I sold 18, then 28, then 48. I started emulating success and copying people, and that led to a very successful career at Remax for 13 years, and then 9 years at Keller Williams, the last 6 years at eXp. The key thing I would say to everyone listening, I'm going to give it back to you, is struggle. Be willing to struggle. Be willing to go into what's uncomfortable to make it comfortable. And all of a sudden, I became a listing agent. All of a sudden, I developed a big team because I was constantly pushing myself to improve. Kaizen, the Japanese word, never-ending constant improvement. And it's served me well in my life. So there you go. Okay, it was a little longer than 60 seconds, but there's the whole story in a nutshell. And here I am.
That's great. But you're also a dad. I know your family. And how many kids do you have?
We have 5. We adopted 3. So my ohana is big. There's 10 of us with all the kids. And it's awesome. My son got engaged yesterday. So finally, 1 down, 8 to go. And 7.
Congratulations.
Yeah. We had a big party at my house yesterday. And Larissa, his soon-to-be wife, she's beautiful. And her parents came over, and her dad and I got emotional. Everybody's crying. It was very sweet. Yeah. It's very cool.
very exciting times you have ahead of you. That's
Yes.
cheers to that. That's
And they're
awesome.
all 19 to 31, my kids now. So
Wow. So that's nice. My kids are older too now, and it's like, wow, I have so much more freedom. And the problems don't go away. They just get bigger. I feel like they get
by
a
the way,
little
you look like you could have a 5-year-old, a 7-year-old, and a 10-year-old. You do not
well,
look like
thank you.
a 10-year-old. You look fantastic for having
It's
adult kids.
thank you. The filters on Zoom are awesome. That's why I
Yeah.
like this
No,
platform.
I've met you in person. You're doing great.
Thank you. So let's talk about Brent as a child. Like, what was your childhood like? Great, family
Yeah,
life, brothers,
yeah.
sisters.
I describe it as leave it to Beaver. I was fortunate to have a mom and dad that have been married 65 years. Man, they fought like hell, but they'd forgive each other and make up. I want to tell you, it was like, June and whatever her name was, the Cleaver, I don't know, the
Uh-huh.
Cleavers or whatever. But Ward, June and Ward, they never,
Mhm.
man, I watched my parents, they struggled, but they still married. My dad's 87. He'll be 88 in December. My mom is 86. She'll be 87. They're still going strong. My pop's still playing golf. They're out there doing it. So, yeah. So, we grew up in Chula Vista. I know you know where
Mhm.
that is. And we had a little 3-bedroom, 1-bath home, 1,000 square feet, shared a room with my brother. My sister got her own room, and we had bunk beds. And I remember falling out of that thing in the middle of the night. And it's a long ways down when you go thud. I remember that hurt. I couldn't even breathe. And
Uh,
but it was great, just great childhood, and so I was just very fortunate to have parents that loved me, and I knew it. And I know not everyone had that break in life, but it
that
was
definitely
that was the
helped.
one thing I had was love. Parents loved me. So
That's so nice. And then you went to college and you didn't finish college. I'm noticing a lot of people that I'm interviewing that have made it to have had massive success in their life. They did not go to college or complete college. And they kind of went out on their own and kind of found their own way,
yeah.
road less traveled.
Yeah. Well, the average 18-year-old over the next 4 years, from 18 to 22, to get their degree, will spend over the next 4 years $50,000 a year. So they're going to invest $200,000 into making themselves marketable. They got that degree. Now I can be a teacher. I can be a engineer. I can go out in corporate America and get a job working for Saks or whatever. Doing whatever it is they're doing. But they'll be 200,000 in debt. Very few people. They're starting off life in the hole. And so me, I got to be honest with you. I was going to be a school teacher and with a master's, maybe make 80,000 a year. And I got in real estate, started making 180,000 a month, not 80,000 a year. And not that life's all about money, but I think college teaches you how to get a job,
Yeah.
and a job teaches you how to get by. And both people work, kids are in daycare. And recently I went to a college my daughter wanted to attend back east, and it was horrific. I mean, it was absolutely like the end of American society. It was so bad. I would really encourage people not to send their kids to college. I am very, go get a job, go start a business. If your job is to work for 40 years for corporate America, I think you are misguided. It's not the way it was, in the 1920s, 30s, 40s, 50s. Things have changed. People are getting fired, laid off at the drop of a hat. I heard a story today. Guy makes 200,000 a year. Company people retired to do people, he makes way too much, and he was with that company for 19 years, and now he's just going to get whacked. Except guess what, he ain't 42 anymore. Now he's 50, 61. He's not going to go necessarily replace a $200,000 a month job plus benefits. And the better you do, the more of a liability you become at your corporation if things get tough. So I'm very anti-public education in college. I mean, that's probably not popular to say, but I
agree with you.
I do not believe in what's being taught.
Mhm.
And, they're your kids. I'm not going to, they're feeling, my daughter was telling me about one of the classes she took, and it was just, I'm paying for this. It's like, it was garbage. And she was asking me questions and stuff. It was not true. And it was terrible. So I think I'm off topic. So let's change the subject back to real
No,
estate.
I love this topic because
Yeah.
I definitely agree with you. I have 4 kids also between the ages of 17 and 22, and only one of them decided to go the actual state school college route, and that's because she's getting into architecture. So you have to go through that program.
Yeah.
But the other kids, they decided to go a different route and try to figure things out on their own. And, one of them is in real estate now. So she's following after mom and grandmom's footsteps.
Good.
So
It's
a hard market out there, but
hey, the highest paid profession in the world is sales.
yeah.
I mean, I lapped what doctors make. The average doctor makes again and again and again and again and again. There's no limit. I mean, it doesn't matter whether you're male, female, short, tall, skinny, fat, bald, lots of hair. It matters what you think in here. And have you been reading the books by Zig Ziglar and Og Mandino and John Maxwell and Simon Sinek and Andy Andrews and all these amazing authors that people say, wow, you should write a book. And then you read that book, Success, the Glenn Bland Method. Have you read that book? I have, and it changed my life. 30 Golden Minutes. There's a chapter called 30 Golden Minutes. I read that at 19.
Yep.
I take 30 golden minutes every morning and plan out my day. If you just kind of let the day happen to you, but if you have a plan and you execute on that plan, execution trumps strategy every day of the week. But if you don't know what to execute because you didn't take 30 minutes in the morning to go, okay, this needs to happen. I'll make a list and dump everything on a yellow notepad. Here's a talk I did earlier today. So you just scribble, right? But look at the things I was talking about: kindness, love, goodness, thoughtfulness, systems to make sure you do that for your clients, your staff, your family, your friends, gratefulness, proximity is power, getting around the right people. This was just a little talk I did, but I'll make a list to go: the dry cleaner, the bank, the DMV, the purchase this stock, sell this stock, call the home inspector, call and I make a list. I'm like, what has to happen? Oh my God, I got to call the appraiser. We got to close. I need to find out what's going on in that appraisal. So I circle that one and I come up with a priority system. I dump it out and then I go, these 3 to 5 things have to happen by 10 a.m. And I go knock them out. If you will live your life that way, you'll have very productive. I never get everything done on my list, but I always get the important things done. Yeah.
One thing I do know about you is you do live your life with putting love out there first. You love on everyone you meet. I mean, strangers, you put your arms around them and you love them and you tell them God loves them. And you make everyone feel like they're part of your family. And have you always done that? Or is that something you learned throughout the years?
I learned that from a guy in high school named Bill Lowe. Bill was the local drug dealer and I would take drugs. I know he would give out uppers and this and that. It was 1983, 84. And God, I hope his parents don't hear this, but we were all smoking a little pot, drinking some beer. It was the 80s rock, Van Halen and Aerosmith and the Police and
that's when music was
Hagar
good.
and I Can't Drive 55 and all that stuff. But Bill, he wasn't a big drug dealer, but he always, I don't know, but I probably shouldn't have said that. But Bill, he was genuinely like loving to the jocks, the stoners, the people who wore the black trench coats. We had punk rockers back in the 80s. Remember that? The green hair, the big combat boots, the Glee Club, the library geeks, the nerds in the library, the drama club. He was just always kind to everybody. He never made fun of anybody. He'd like, hey, come over here. He'd always gather people. I'm like, man, Bill Lowe is bigger than life. He's larger than life. And I'm a Christian now. So it's like WWJD. What would Jesus do? But I remember before I was a Christian, it was like WWBD. What would Bill do? I'm like, well, Bill would smile, be friendly. He'd walk in the room and lift the room. He'd gather people. He'd see somebody off alone. He'd go walk over and talk to him. Come on, man, come over here with us. And so I remember being 19 and getting into sales and being fearful, when you're around your buddies and you're playing rugby and soccer and football and basketball and ping pong and any kind of a sport you could think of to play, it was easy. I wasn't shy. I'd never actually gone out and talked to strangers. Well, you get in sales, you talk to people you don't know. I was shaking so bad at 19. People had to put a hand on my shoulder, on my arm. A car salesman from Whitmire Ford in Chico, David Lindsay. I remember his name. David, if you're out there, I love you, man. You changed my life. But he said, dude, it's okay. I'm proud of you for trying. Calm down. He was, I'm not going to bite you. You just take a minute, compose yourself. What do you got to say? I'm going to listen to you. He was super tan from being on that car lot. David Lindsay dressed very nice. But I remember that. I remember a woman, she owned an interior designing place. I'm talking to her. I'm shaking so bad. She's, sweetheart, come here. And she put her arm right here on my shoulder. She says, it's okay. I'm going to listen. But the point is, I confronted my uncomfortableness, my fear of talking to strangers. And I was able to get over it. But Bill, I'm like, why can't I be like Bill? So guess what? I became like Bill, and I became outgoing and loving. And it was a process. Now it's just super easy for me.
Right.
It's like if you go to the gym when you first go to the gym, but if you go to the gym all the time, it's easy and it's fun. Right. If you golf a little bit, it's not that fun. If you golf all the time, you get good at it and you could shape a shot and spin it back or fade it or draw it or there's a million. It's super fun. But if you're not really into it, like, I don't really see what's so fun about this. It's more fun to drive a golf cart. I get that. So I think in life, you get what you project. And right. If you have good energy, you attract good energy. If you have wonky, like, why are my friends wonky and weird? You might be a little wonky and weird.
Right.
So you got to like take yourself out of that environment. Mm-hmm. And maybe you got to move. I'll say this and I'll give it back to you. We were at a mastermind with Ken Jocelyn called Grow Stack Drive. And there was a woman there and she used the analogy of your life is a movie and you're the producer of that movie, right? Mm-hmm. Some of you have some bad actors in your movie. You need to write them out of the script. That means get away from people who you leave them and you feel horrible. They put you down. They make you the brunt of their jokes. They sarcastically get away from those people. They're insecure and putting you down. You don't feel good. Like, you don't need to be around that. Remove yourself. Write those bad actors out of the script, or maybe you need to rewrite the entire script. Yes. Like, you just need to, like, my life sucks. I hate what's going on. I'm gonna redo my life. Like, I met a guy who was super overweight, like 400 pounds. Now he's a trainer. He just said, I never even, and now he's in the gym every day. He's training people. He's talking health. He's working out. He's thin. He looks great. But he rewrote the script for his life. David Goggins, right?
Yes.
Super fat, overweight, pest control guy getting cobwebs and spraying for ants. And he was miserable and fat. And he just stepped up and made some radical changes in his life. He rewrote the script. And the last thing said, sometimes you need a set location change. I did that. I moved to Puerto Rico 3 years ago. You did that. You moved to Kona, Hawaii. Yep. Sometimes you got to change the location of where your movie's being filmed. I remember I did it in 96 when I moved from Chico to Sacramento. It was a 100-mile shift. That was it. 100 miles. In Chico, if you made $12 an hour, that was big money back then in 96. $12 an hour. I mean, for an adult, a child. In Sacramento, within 4 years, I went from $60,000 a year in Chico to over, $393,000 4 years later. So do the multiplication. I can't even, it's like six times. Anyways, I'm trying to do it in my math. It was over 6 times the income. 4 years, because I did a location change. So it doesn't mean you have to leave Kona or leave Maui or Kauai or wherever you happen to live in this world, but maybe you need to move 50 miles to a different city and start fresh. I was so excited. I remember the Ryder truck I rented. I remember seeing Chico. I love Chico. I lived there 10 years. I was just time to go. I remember seeing in the rearview mirror, Chico as it faded away. Welcome to Chico. It just faded away in the background. And I was doggone happy about it. I had become stale. I'd become just my mind, my thoughts. I moved to Sacramento, bigger pond, the fish don't get big in a small thing, but if you put them in a big, they can get really big and you can live a bigger life, the life you dreamed of. So I'll give it back to you.
Oh yeah. This is great. In my early 20s, I moved down to Pacific Beach, of course, party town. I wanted to be around like all these, what I thought was fun at the time, people. And it was great. But then I woke up one day and I thought, this is not going to work for me for the rest of my life. I'm now paying attention to some people that are in their 40s and 50s, and they're still down there doing the same thing. I need to get out of here. So like 23, I said, that's it. I'm moving up to North County. I got to, concentrate on my real estate career, and you got to remove yourself from some locations and from some people. You got to get rid of those toxic people or the people that are holding you back.
Absolutely. I mean, look at Eric, right? He's a
Yeah,
producer now. He's an actual what we're talking about.
I know. It's
He
so
does the
cool.
scripts, the site, location, the set, who are the actors, the good actors, the bad actors. We don't have room for bad actors in our life.
No.
And, get around people you aspire to become like, who inspire you.
Right. And write down who you want to be. Like I know who I want to be. I just turned 50. I know who I want to be at 60. And it doesn't look anything like this. Or maybe it didn't look like anything like,
Right.
what I was 5 years ago or 10 years ago. So you write that down and you just work toward it. And somehow, you co-create with the universe or with God, and together you make it happen. Sometimes you don't even know what that journey looks like, but you get there.
This is so good. You're going to be so excited. I tell you a story of a guy named Shemi. He lives in Walnut Creek, Concord, the Bay Area, San Francisco. He is, I think forgive me, he's either Palestinian or Jewish. I don't know, but he's really cool. He's got a lot of charisma. He owned a very high-end cosmetology store and colognes and perfumes and makeups, and they would do hair. And like, you go get your hair done, it was like $1,500. You do a facial, was like $800. It was everything was like buku expensive. And he was killing it. He had like 3 stores: San Francisco, Walnut Creek, which is a very expensive suburb, Lafayette. And he's just making bank, super successful. I met him at a Tony Robbins event when I got into EXP 6-7 years ago. And we stayed in touch. Shemi, love him, but he's a very charismatic and capable guy. Well, guess what? COVID hit. And San Francisco was like radical about the masks and about nobody leave your home. And his business went from here to zero overnight. He was devastated, and then he's paying massive rents in these locations, which he had to continue to pay. No customers coming in. And so after a year, and it didn't change. Like some places got over it after a year, some places a year and a half, some people 2 years. His went over 2 years because he's in the San Francisco Bay Area, and they were extreme about the way they handled the whole COVID thing.
Yes.
Politically, whatever you think on that, right or wrong, whatever, but masks, hand sanitizers, full on this, goggles. I mean, they went really nuts in San Francisco, and some people, that's their belief, right? But that's not what I want to talk about. So he was done overnight, and he had this dream business in overnight.
So many people.
So he joined a friend of his in the roofing business. Today, Shemi owns, since COVID, he's now the #1 roofer in all of San Francisco and San Jose. He roofs, I think, 80 to 100 homes a week.
Wow.
80 to 100 homes. He's super wealthy, wealthier than he ever was, with his bougie, high-end movie star, professional athlete, the who's who, glitzy thing, because it was a massive overhead as well. Right. And he goes, oh my God. And I said, Shemi, God closes one door and opens another. And COVID is what it took to get you out of that business. He goes, I'm so much happier as a roofer. And but he took all the skills he learned about goal setting and attitude and action plans and marketing and applied it to the roofing industry and killed it. So.
Yeah, that doesn't change. Your work ethic doesn't change regardless of what you're doing, right? So you just keep going for it. And I love that story. I think I need to meet this guy.
Shemi's great, man. By the way, fun story just like that. I'll just take 20 seconds. I met a guy flying on a flight to Atlanta. And I'm like, what do you do? Real estate, what do you do? He's, I do crown molding. I'm like, oh, poor guy, just does crown molding, isn't it? We're talking some more. He's pretty big. I'm the largest crown molding guy in all of Atlanta. And he became a multimillionaire through it. And he lost his job in corporate America, got into crown molding, kind of like Shemi did roofing. I knew how to show up. I was always there when I said I'd be there. Everyone could depend on me. We were early. We got it done on time. Boom, overnight, multi-millionaire in crown molding, because he would be there. So many people just couldn't show up and couldn't get the job done on time, which slows down everybody else. The painters, they can't paint till the crown molding's in or whatever. By the way, if someone wants to say hi, do you have a second?
Yeah.
He wants to tell everyone to get the job done. Get it done. There's my Tony Robbins picture. I took this picture myself. I'm proud to say I'm the photographer here. And Tony says you got what it takes to make it. So it's not every day you get to hear from Tony Robbins. So.
It isn't. Thank you, Tony, for showing up. I appreciate it. We always love to see Tony. Yeah.
I'm going to be there. I'm going to be in Dallas in November. They're doing a UPW, Unleash the Power Within.
Oh gosh, I'd love to go to one of those.
Oh,
Yeah.
so good. Have you ever been?
No,
Have
but
you ever
I
been to a Tony Robbins like event? You never have. So
well, just at Build.
that was 3 hours. Unleash the power within. It's like 16 hours a day. Like, oh, that's like, you will love every single hour
Yeah.
of the 16 hours. You will take notes to your hand. I mean, it's so good. You literally don't want to get out of your chair to go to the bathroom. It's that good. And so if anyone ever gets a chance, people hear this, the next one's in November in Dallas. I will be there. Look me up. But
Okay.
Unleash the Power Within. It's my fourth time to take the same exact material. Every time I go, I'm like, okay, I'll go. And I'm like, oh, this is so good. You don't master 18 hours or 16 hours of material a day for 4 days. Oh, I got it. I heard 16 hours for 4 straight days, day after day. And so it just reinforces, then click. And then I got it. I finally get what he's saying now. And it's, I mean, there's so much. You'll walk out there every time. I just can't even encourage you to go.
What's the dates in for
You know,
that?
all right, you're gonna give me dates. I can look it up
Yeah.
right here. So it is life changing. I was like, he walks on fire, not for me. Forget Tony Robbins, because the fire thing was a bit much for me, right?
Did you do that? Did you walk on the hot
I
coals?
promised myself I wouldn't. But by the time I went through this whole thing, I'm like, okay, I'm going to go do it. And I went and did it. It's no big deal. But, it freaked me out. I just thought, well, whatever he's doing, I'm not interested in that. But it was so good. It is so good. That's all I can tell you. I would match it up against college and say a factor of 1,000. You can go to college. This is one event can change your life. It's 1,000 times better than college. Now if you want to be an architect or you want to be a nurse or you're going to,
Right.
Fine. I get it. You actually have to go. You want to be a doctor, you whatever, but not for me. I'm more the self-employed kind of guy. So let's see if I can find it. It is right here. Come on, baby. Let's see. I know I have it here. My gosh, why do I not see it? November. Oh, here it is. It's right here. So top of my schedule.
November 9th to the 12th. Okay,
Yep.
Unleash the Power Within. For those of you, it's supposed to be an amazing event. The people that I know that have gone, it's changed their entire world.
Yep.
So maybe
I'll
have
I'm going for the fourth time. I've attended the same thing 4 times. He's got business mastery after that, date with destiny after that, life and wealth. And there's so many great things he does. He's the number one guy in the world. And there's a reason, and you should go. It's
okay. Well, maybe I'll have to see you there then. That would be great.
Love to see you and Eric.
That would be awesome. So what advice would you give somebody maybe that is struggling right now to get their business, whether it's real estate or a different business, off the ground, and they just can't figure out what their blockage is and how to get to that next level?
Well, at that event, Tony Robbins says 80% of the chokehold in your business or your life is your personal psychology. Right? I can't do it. Guess what? You probably can't.
Right.
Oh, I'm just not motivated. But guess what? You're just not motivated. So you got to tell yourself, get your bottom up off of that chair, that couch, get off the couch, onto your feet, into the battle, into the heat. Let's go. I'm not very good at it. Nobody's very good at it. We all suck when we start ping pong, and then you get better at ping pong. You start golf, you're missing the ball, you're missing putts, you 4-putt, and then you get better and better and better. Life is about improving. And it's incremental, not monumental, as our good friend Ken Jocelyn says at Grow Stock Drive. It's the incremental, and it just takes some time. But if you will commit yourself and get in masterminds, accountability groups, and go to stuff and say, I'm going to change. I can, I will. When your 15-year-old says, well, I don't feel like cleaning my room, do you go, that's okay, honey. Just live in there with 3 feet of clothes and Oreo wrappers and Taco Bell wrappers, and just stay like that forever. We say, I don't really give a rat's, mama's gonna go cave woman on you. You get in your room, you clean your room. Okay, mom, you're 13-year-old. I don't want to mow the backyard. Well, that's great. You're going to mow the backyard. I don't care how you feel. But I think as adults, we do the same thing. I don't feel like going to UPW in Dallas. I don't really care how you feel. Children operate off their feelings. When you adult, you operate off your commitments. You instead of you're excited, you're depressed. You're excited, you're depressed. You're decided, you're depressed. It's this up and down roller coaster of life. You got to be, instead of a thermometer which goes up and down with you, you're having a good day. Oh, dad's having a bad day. Oh, mom's having a good day. Oh, mom's having a bad day. That's schizo. You want to be more like a thermostat. Set that thing 72 degrees or 70, or if you like a cool 68, whatever, but you set it and you become dependable and the rock for your family. Not some schizo crazy maniac that dad's having a bad day, dad's having a good day. Which day is it for dad? That's like you're like a child. And so you got to really make a decision that you're not going to you're not going there. You're just not going to go there. Yeah, that sucked. Tony Robbins says you can have like 2 minutes to be upset about it, then you get on with it. Otherwise, you're a victim. You're like, oh, I can't believe this happened to me. Then you feel bad. You feel bad that you're feeling bad. And it creates depression, anxiety, doubt, fear. And so you go, you know what can I be grateful for? We always have something. I'm a Bible guy. It says all through the Bible, after famines, plagues, wars, pestilence, all kinds of terrible things that happen, floods. It always says, and it came to pass. Yes. I mean, look back, and I'll give it back to you, Jill, but you look back in your life. I've had ups, I've had downs. I still have things that happen that aren't good, right? And so the question is, what are you going to do with it? And did any of them come to stay forever? I lost my job. I was depressed. I've been horrible ever since. It's like, that boyfriend you broke up, my girlfriend broke up with me when I went up to college. I was pretty depressed for 6 months. Then I got over it. Right. And it came to pass. And so no matter what we're facing, like Shemi, my business is over in the Bay Area. My high-end, beautiful business I've worked for a decade to build is gone overnight. Pivots, gets into the roofing industry. So, yeah.
Yes. Usually the worst things that you could ever imagine that happen to you end up being the best things for you, right? It's always the case. But when you're in it, you're thinking, why is this happening to me? You're playing the victim. And then you're retelling the story of your past of this just happened to me. This just happened to me. This just happened to me. And then you're bringing more of that into your life rather than, okay, well, that's gone. Let's look at the future. Now I have the opportunity to pivot. What am I going to do now?
I love it. Yeah. Hold that thought for 1 second. Rob, can you print me footprints? Can you Google that and just hit print button? And I want to read that to everyone. Keep going. So, because I'm going to ask him, he's printing me a little paragraph. I'm going to read to everybody. Have you ever read the thing called Footprints?
No, I don't think so.
It's footprints in the sand. It's perfect. You're in Hawaii, you're in Kona, and you'll relate to this, but we'll keep going. You're just like, you inspired me so much with what you just said.
So Brent, what do you do? Like, how do you get over a big hit when it happens to you? How do you recover from it quickly?
Yeah. I mean, you for sure deal with it. It happened. Don't be like, oh, I'm fine. It's okay to be sad. It's okay to call your best friend and to talk it out and to call your pastor or your synagogue leader or whoever it is, your mentor, and go, walk me through this. I want to get over this. And you're going to have to fight through it. You're going to have, some of them are bigger things, and it may take days, weeks, or months, but you said, I will get through this. Tough times never last, but tough people do.
Yes.
You got to suck it up and get on the struggle bus and fight through it. And so, if you stay in motion, bodies in motion tend to stay in motion, and bodies at rest tend to stay at rest. And when you beat yourself up for what you're not doing, that's a tough place to be. Just start. The journey of 1,000 miles starts with the first step. Take the first step. Go to the gym. Put the
no matter how hard it is.
Right.
Get
put
dressed.
the cigarette away. Don't take that drug. Stop drinking. Margaritas. If you have a real problem with alcohol, just fight. It is a struggle, and then that will make you strong, and you'll rise like the phoenix from the ashes. And you can, you will. Now that there's two, this one says I can do it. This one says no, you can't. Right? Good, evil.
Yeah.
Which one are you going to listen to? I'm a loser. I can't. I'm fearful. I'm going to keep taking drugs. I'm going to keep drinking alcohol. And you know it's destroying your life, but you're listening to the voice that wants to destroy your life. Those are the two. The one voice is take that other road, the road less. You don't hang out with those people. You don't drink that. You don't eat that. You don't do this. This is what I do. This is who I am. This is the future I have. And so you got to talk to yourself.
Yeah.
And you know, it's self-talk. If you say I'm stupid, fat, short, ugly, nobody loves me, and that's what you keep saying to yourself, it's gonna be tough. But you know what? Everyone
loves me.
Ross taught me that 40 years ago. Dynamic living. Everybody loves me. Now it's not like narcissism, but it's like, or you're like, oh my God, were they waving at me? Or are they mad at me? Or are they saying good job? You know, are they mad? You know, what is it? Is that, are they mad or are they, oh, he loves me. Doing this, give me a fist pump, you know? I do it in church. I do this to my pastor sometimes. He probably wonders, what's that guy's crazy? I'm cheering him on, but I enter a room and I'm going to lift the room, not because I want to be a big deal, because there's people to love. There's people, I love it when people reach out to me and acknowledge me and just, you know, and so okay, I just got it hot off the press.
All right, let's hear it.
Called Footprints in the Sand. And this is really appropriate to what we're talking about, because you take some hits in life. And so I read this in college when I was 19, and it says this: I dreamed I was walking along the beach. Let me put my glasses on. Gove's getting older. I dreamed I was walking along the beach with the Lord, and across the sky flashed scenes from my life. For each scene I noticed there were two sets of footprints in the sand. One belonged to me and one belonged to the Lord. When the last scene of my life flashed before us, I looked back at the footprints in the sand, and I noticed that many times along the path of my life, there were only one set of footprints. I also noticed it happened during my very lowest and saddest times of my life. This really bothered me, and I questioned the Lord about it. Lord, you said once I decided to follow you, you would walk with me all the way. But I have noticed that during the most troublesome times in my life, there was only one set of footprints. I don't understand why when I needed you the most, you would leave me. And the Lord replied, my precious, precious child, I love you. I would never, never leave you during the times of trial and suffering. When you saw only one set of footprints, it was then that I carried you. Oh, I love that. I love that. That's like me. It's like, and I believe that, you know.
Yes.
And people say, well, you know, if God's not real, you know, why are these terrible things? I go, you know, those are people. People do terrible, messed up things. I can give you 100,000 stockbrokers, and some of them are beautiful. Some of them should go to prison. 100,000 doctors. Some of them are beautiful. Some should go to prison. Right. I mean, take 100. It's people. It's not God, you know. And people do messed up things. So you don't write off humanity because Stalin or Hitler or some wackadoodle, right, does something crazy. It's just people. You be the change. You be the change agent. You be the history maker. Little Mother Teresa, Martin Luther King, you know, Eleanor Roosevelt, Helen Keller. Why not you? Why not me? I'm up. I'm raising my hand. I want to be loved. I want to make a difference in this world. And so I live my life that way. Am I perfect at it? Nope. Do I mess up? Yep. I'm human and flawed like everyone else, but
we're all
I do less than I used to, and I do more loving than I used to, and I feel good about it, and that's where I am. You know, I'm not perfect, but I'm here.
Yeah, and you know, you always lift the room. You do. Whenever I'm anywhere near you, and you light everyone up. And I think there's something about that. And if we could be in a room and there's at least one person that's lighting up the other people, and they can everybody else walks out of the room better or happier or more joyous than they were then they walked in the room, we're all living in a better place. And you do that for people.
Thank
so
you.
Yeah. And your family does that for people. And it's just it's so nice to be around.
Thank you. What Henry Ford says, if you think you can, you probably can. If you can't, you're probably right.
Absolutely.
Right? So you might as well think the best and don't beat yourself up. You're learning, you're growing, you're going to be better. You'll be better tomorrow than you were today. And in a week, you'll be way better than in a month and next year. I mean, how much has your life changed, Jill? since 10 years ago? If I go 10 years ago, your beliefs, your thoughts, your maturity level, your intellect, like what has changed in 10 years? Has it been a pretty dramatic, a pretty significant change?
You wouldn't recognize me. I mean, I look almost the same. Well, maybe a little older, but I look the same, but I am a completely different person.
I
And
bet you look younger, right?
I,
As you become more loving and more joyful, it keeps you young. And
yes.
so that is beautiful. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's what life is all about, right? You get better, but not just get better. You just get, I don't even want to say the word happier. You find the joy in
More
things that you never
joyful.
did before. Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's,
It comes from inside and goes out. If you have to drink or take a drug and put the joy in you, you don't have it. It flows out of you. And enjoying a glass of wine, or I like a cold beer. I can't seem to drink an entire one. I'll drink half a beer, but
right.
I live in Puerto Rico. It's hot, man. 88 degrees. I'm on board with a cerveza.
Yeah.
I'll have a beer occasionally, but I don't need to drink a lot. I don't want that. I don't need to lose control. I'm high on life. I'm
Right.
high on people. I think, I know what I'm going to say. You ever been in a room and somebody comes like, oh no, so-and-so's here. You know what I mean? It's like
They just
storm
drain you.
clouds follow them into the room. Don't be that person.
Yeah.
Be the person who walks in and everyone's like, oh, we all know sometimes we've been someone, that person walks in the room like, Bill's here,
Yeah.
Jill's here. And you're so excited. Be that person who has a timely word for somebody else, who takes the time to look them in the eyes, not like looking beyond Jill and who else is in the room. Okay, no, I'll talk to Jill. There's no one better to talk to. Don't be that person. Be focused and be loving and let people know that you appreciate. A timely word is better than gold. Think back in your life, Jill. Think back. I'll answer the question for you. Give me one time in your life where someone says something to you when you were maybe 10 years old, 7 years old, 17 years old, 23 years old. Can you think back a time when someone said something to you that just like, wow, and you still remember it to this day? Like, it could have been a coach, it could have been a teacher, it could have been a relative. They said something to you that you needed, and it was helpful and encouraging to your soul, and you still remember today. There's also bad things like that, but give me one example. How old were you? Who was it? What did they say?
Oh gosh. Okay, so I know I don't have the greatest singing voice in the world, or even a good singing voice. I'm definitely aware of. But when I was little, I loved to sing. Like I loved it. But I always heard from my family members, especially my mom and my dad, stop singing. You have a terrible voice. You have a terrible voice. You have a terrible voice. My older cousin came to visit me, and she's 7 years older than I am, and we shared a birthday. So she came for our shared birthday, and I sang happy birthday to her, and she sang happy birthday to me, and she said, Jill, you have the most beautiful voice I've ever heard in my life. And I just started crying, and I still remember that. And I was
and you were 7 years old.
I was 7 years old.
And it was a 7-year-old who spoke that to you.
She was 14.
Oh, 14.
She was my big older cousin, and I looked up to her so much. And it Yes. Isn't that great? And I still remember it to this day. So she's still my favorite cousin.
I love it. And that can work against you. Like I remember Joey Travisani in the 5th grade. My teeth, when I was a kid, I got sick and they gave me penicillin. I swelled up really bad and got all blotchy. I had a reaction to penicillin. So I'm actually allergic to penicillin. Like, do not give me penicillin, that world super drug I can't take. Right. So I took a drug called tetracycline. It was the replacement drug in the 60s for penicillin. They tested it, everything was great, but they didn't realize if your adult teeth were forming, it would discolor them. Now these are all, I went and spent money and fixed my teeth, but my teeth, it would literally turn them, like, instead of white, they would be like gray. It would, and I had a really, like, I'd smile and you couldn't even see my teeth, like when I'd smile like that. And so I remember Joey in the 5th grade. This is the first time in my life he goes, look at your teeth, man. They're gray. Your teeth are gray. I can still see him doing this. Look at that. It's what's over there. And I had 5 other friends. It was the first time I ever felt humiliated and embarrassed in my life. I distinctly remember it. And then I also remember distinctly in, I think the fourth grade or the fifth grade that same year, my Astros coach, I can't remember him and his wife, but they were so kind and so loving and spoke so. I just felt better every time I went to practice or the game because of this. I can't remember who they are, but I'll never forget who they are. And then I went on a ski trip to Utah with the YMCA on a bus when I was like a freshman in high school. And this woman was there. She was super old, like 24. But when you're like 15, 24,
Yeah.
it's like a dinosaur. You're like, oh my God,
Yeah.
24. And she just said, I have fallen in love with you this week. And it wasn't like she was hitting on me. It wasn't like that.
Right.
I think you're going to have the most amazing life. You're going to be you're going to break a lot of girls' hearts. You are something special. And she said, like, I don't even know her, but I remember like I could tell she meant it.
Yeah.
And no one had ever said anything like that to me in my life.
Mhm.
And there's a handful of times my high school soccer coach, I was a soccer player, and so you remember that. So my point is, why are we talking about this? Be the person who gives somebody a timely word, call it out in them. I want you to know I see this in your life. And I think it's incredible. And I'm so fortunate to know you. And I so appreciate this characteristic you have. I did it with my daughter driving back from Tahoe yesterday. She's 21. And I told her how honest she was. She's very honest with her feelings and who she is. And I said, I absolutely love that about you, Megan. Your sense of honesty and not being fake and being authentic. It is such, she's like, really, Dad? I go, really? I adore that in you. I think it's the coolest thing. She's like, Dad, thank you. And so I practice. So what can you say? If it's, don't make it up, but if you look, you can look for the bad and you will find it. You can find it in me. You look for the good and you will find it. But we don't want to be the person who makes fun of somebody's weight or their look or their teeth or what. And Joey was a young kid and, he's just being like a fifth grader.
Right.
I have no ill will towards Joey Trevisani, but I still remember your name, Joey Trevisani, Eric Larson, Mikey Johnson, that three group. I haven't seen them. I left that year. I've never been back, never seen or talked to those guys since. It's been 46 years, but I still remember. And I remember Ronan, who tried to beat me up on the it was scary, but you remember those moments. And so we need to be light in a dark world. We need to be love and speak life and joy in people. And if you live your life like that, you'll never have a shortage of friends. You'll feel very rewarded. It's better to give than to receive. And man, you'll get it back. If you're giving love, you're going to get love. I don't feel loved. Well, just
because you don't give love. Yeah. I know the people that if they have something negative to say about you or they don't say something nice, it's not about you, it's about them. There's something missing in their world. They're insecure about something. So what I do is I end up giving them more love because I know that that's what they need. If I'm driving and I cut someone off and they give me the finger or something, I just give them love. I'm just like, love you. Like, and I mean it. Like, I'm not going to flip
calm down. But if you flip them off and you swerve, all of a sudden it's like you're both mad at each other. Yeah.
But I think what's going on in that person's life that they could get that upset about something so little and minor. And all I do is I just try to give them love back. And I hope they can pass that on to someone else and not the finger next time. So
I love it. Oh, by the way, for everybody watching, get your cameras out. Take a picture of this. There it is. If you want to get a picture, it's called Footprints in the Sand. You can Google it, but that's that beautiful kind of poetic, story I read. It's very encouraging.
It's awesome. I'm going to put it in the comments. I'll put it in the remarks section so everybody can look it up themselves. And I thank you so much for your time. I know you're a very busy guy, and I appreciate you being here with me.
You bet. You bet. Hey, I'll see you in Maui in the end of January. We're going to go serve the people of Lahaina who have been displaced, and we're going to do a mastermind with EXP in Maui. And if you want to know more about that, go to brentgove.com and click on
Wonderful.
upcoming events. About 150 superstar real estate agents flying in for our Maui mastermind end of January. Again, you find the information at brentgove.com. Shameless plug under upcoming events.
Wonderful. The Maui people need it more than anything. So whatever we can do to help, we're there to support them.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Mahalo. All right.